By the way, that means we also have to behave today, all of us.
That's right, because
It's recording.
It's recording now.
Yosy.
It's not on YouTube, but it's recording, and later on Akiva will transfer it. Okay, so before we start, I have to go a little bit back to the Mishnah. Well, but let's just we'll do it quickly. But today is a very special day in history, sadly. Today is the yahrzeit of one of the biggest burning of Svarim that happened in France. There was I think it was 23 wagon loads of Svarim in the 1200s, which is before printing. So everything was handwritten. And most of the work of the Balei Tosfos were destroyed in that burning. And we lost most of the work of the Balei Tosfos. But he says over here, from the Mikach Rebbe, from the Minchas Aluzer had a Kabbalah from his father, or from his grandfather, a fascinating story, that the night before all these Balei Tosfos were killed in that book burning thing, because Eden, who had Svarim remaining, were burnt. The night before is the night that the Balei Tosfos wrote the biggest Tosfos that we know of, which is Parah Metama Tumas Eichlin Hoyel V'Hoysel Ashasa Kosher. I believe it's Daf Ayin Aleph on the base in Bava Kama in Perek Merubah. That's that long Tosfos that everybody knows about. It's only one line in Gemara in the tall Tosfos. So he has a Kabbalah from his grandfather, the Bnei Yisachar, that the greatest Balei Tosfos, it says that most of them wrote their long Tosfos on Perek Merubah of Bava Kama the night before being called to judgment by their wicked enemies. They were threatened that if they refused to convert, they would be killed, and this occurred right after the Chedushim were burnt. Then they were all killed. Al Kiddush Hashem. You're mute, Rav Moshe. I can't hear you. You're still mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Can you send us this paper?
Sure.
Please.
Sure. I'll post it on the WhatsApp group. That's number one. Number two is today's the yahrzeit of Moshe Chavroini, or Shiva, I believe Pesach Chase, learned by Moshe Chavroini, but it's also the yahrzeit of the Kloisenberger Ruf, the famous Kloisenberger Ruf.
The Kloisenberger Rebbe.
The Rebbe, I'm sorry, who suffered so much in the Holocaust and was Machazik people over here. So I have two, and he also built, one of my favorites, he built the Laniado Hospital, which is a Frum hospital, and he distinguished himself, and he distinguished his hospital by a certain event that also talks to me quite a bit, and I want to read it so it should be clear as can be. He distinguished himself is because in the 90s there was a doctor's strike for 127 days, and the only hospital here he writes right over here. In 1990 there was a strike for 127 days, and his was the only hospital. His was one of the only hospitals. There are very few hospitals that no doctors or no employee went on strike, even though all the doctors in the country were on strike. In other words, he was an anti-union, and all the people in this hospital were anti-union, so I'm very pleased with that. I have two favorite mices with the Kloisenberger Rebbe. One mice is, he was darshaning his Chumash Torah, which he used to tape. And it was Pashas Toldos. And he starts off his Zusha by saying, Lemoisai, Guy, Starben. And everyone wouldn't know, they called the ambulance, they called it Tzula, they were running, they were jumping. And then he says, Zoya tefeta Eisev gezut feyanke vivini. Hinai, Lenoichi, Hoylach, Lumis. That was one of my favorite stories. But my favorite story is everybody knows that Satmar and Kloisenberg fought cats and dogs. Satmar was right of Kloisenberg. So there was a Kloisenberger Chusid that was saying over to a Satmar Chusid, a Maise, a Moifis from his Rebbe. He said, I was driving down the Palisades. I was driving up the Palisades to the mountains. Ich weiß nicht, bevor dort, bevor die Stadt, bevor die schnell dort. 85 Meilen Schuhe, 90 Meilen Schuhe. Ich habe gefahren. Und plötzlich, ich gehe seitens von der Polizei. Ich gebe ein Stück auf die Brake, ich stand schnell auf. Und eine Minute später, ich bin dort nach der Polizei. Und nachdem habe ich gehabt, wo habe ich getan? Ich habe mit dem Aussehen eine Drusche auf dem Tape von der Rebbe. Und in der Background von der Tape, ich bin dort nach Siren. So das ist der Rebbe's Moifis. As the siren was gehört in the background von seiner Drusche. hat mich erschrocken. Ich habe schnell gestippt den Break. Und mit dem habe ich geraten wird geworden, und da kommen ein größer Ticket fuhren die Gseir still auf the Palisades. So es hat mir aber gesagt, es hat mir gut gesagt, this is not closing of a Moifis. This is a Satmar of Moifis. Who do you think pulled the fire alarm in the middle of the closing book of Rebbe's Drusha to steer the Drusha? The Satmar pulled the fire alarm. That siren was from us.
Oi, was angeschickt. Chazelach haben sie geschickt, Klausenburg.
Really?
Yeah, they used to send pigs.
Wow.
Ungekochte Chazelach.
What was their town on Klosenberg? There was a Tzioni? That he had a hospital in Israel?
That he was a Tioni, yeah.
Uh-huh. That's my favorite master, the Moifis. It's my favorite
Ich
master.
gedenk, der zweite Tag Schwiees hat gehalten Drusche in Williamsburg, die Klausenburger Rebbe. In der Samach Rebbe sind gekommen und geworfen soft-boiled eggs and tomatoes.
And the Rebbe let it? Some Rebbe let it? I can't believe
On
Rebbe
him.
let it.
Auf ihm hat man geworfen.
No, but how did the Sam Rebbe let us Chassidim do that?
Ich weiß, bei Chassidim fragt mich gegangen.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, so let's see the Heilige Mishnah. I know we looked at it, but we'll learn that again quickly. Matil tik a sefer im a sefer. If you have a fire and there's a sefer Torah or a sefer Nevi'im or Ksuvim that's there and it's going to get burnt, you're allowed to save not only the sefer.
By the way, I'm going to send a clip to everybody. There was yesterday, 2 days, there was a fire in a house in Boca Raton.
Oh, you stole my thunder. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not
I'll
Mr.
leave,
McGee.
okay.
No, please send the clip out. We're going to learn about saving a sefer Torah in a fire. So Moshe Rubner is going to send out a fascinating clip about something that happened recently where B'derech Neis almost a sefer Torah was saved. Shkoyach Moshe.
But you heard about it.
Someone sent me the clip.
Oh, so you can send us a clip.
Yeah, but you'll send it. You thought of it. And
Show it
so
right
you get
now.
source.
Show it right now on the YouTube.
I can show it right now on the YouTube. Is it on YouTube? I got it sent from Dus. I got it sent here. I can see if I can pull it up on YouTube, but I got it sent to me on WhatsApp. Here, I'll play it this way.
Yeah, what's up? Whatever.
I'll play it this way. It's easier, simpler. Here we go. Very fascinating story. Here we go.
The family thought they lost everything inside this home. Turns out firefighters were able to save a very special item. Ari Hike has the incredible story.
Even in the dark, you can get a pretty good idea of just how much damage was done to the Clark's home here in Boca Raton. But because of firefighters, because of all of these neighbors, the Clark family can now focus more on what was saved rather than what was lost. It was one of the worst days of Paul Clark's life last week, watching his Boca Raton home burn. We realized that there's smoke, called 911, and from there the fire just took over. Paul, his wife, and 4 children lost so much. Nearly all of what they owned was destroyed, but not everything. Firefighters salvaged the family's 100-year-old total. It was a miracle. A miracle not just because it was saved, but because it was entirely intact. Everything in the house was damaged by smoke, fire, water, everything except the Torah. Thousands of gallons of water were inside, and there was virtually not a drop of water on the scroll that we brought out. Whatever, however you believe in, something was at play there. To have it come out and not a drop of water, not singed, not nothing was truly amazing. Firefighters also saved other religious items, candlesticks, cups, books. And that's why not just the Clarks, but the whole neighborhood went to the firehouse Monday night. You guys went way above and beyond. All these people really want to thank you. They brought signs, balloons, dessert, just to say thank you. We appreciate it a lot. We don't get it that often. Really, really incredible, impressive, and we're very, very thankful. And one more thing, neighbors have gotten together. They've donated food, clothing, supplies, all sorts of things the Clark family would need to get back on their feet. And the family tells me they are going to rebuild their house right here because they don't want to leave this neighborhood. In Boca Raton, Ari Hike, WPDF 25 News.
Okay, that's the nice one. So they saved the sefer Torah.
in the Sinyana Diyama. We're
It's
talking
mamish,
about
it's mamish what we're learning about. It's exactly what we're learning about Sefer Torah. So Matzilan, take a Sefer, Ima Sefer. On Shabbos, you're allowed to not only take the Sefer out, but the container that it's in. And we'll see soon there was even money in the container. The take a tefillin, and a tefillin, you're allowed to save the tefillin by the tefillin. The album shears pesach mois, even though there's money inside it. L'hechem atzil mois, where do you take it? L'mobish einim foolish. So a mobish einim foolish is a mobi that's not open to the Rosh Hashanah. Then the Seir Emer aflim foolish, which Pashtus is a deraisa, which you shouldn't be able to violate. So the Gemara is going to explain what this means, and we'll see it really is only a derabon.
Are there certain gezeres that they made that they took off the gezeres because people can't live up to it?
Sure, but here they took it off so that you could protect the Sefer Torah.
No, because
I think
what happens is that you get excited and you take it out anyway. You don't think.
right.
Right. So the Gemara is going to address that. Actually, that was a reason for the Gemara. That was the reason why Chazal actually limited how much you could save. The Gemara is going to ask, why can't you save everything? Why could you only save the Sefer Torah? So
There were more
machzor. It tells us there were more machzor. We're afraid if someone's involved in saving the stuff, he can get into a frenzy in saving his stuff, and that would cause him to be Mechal Shabbos. So because of that, they very much metered and controlled how much he's allowed to save, how much he's allowed to salvage.
You know, somebody has a fire in his house. He says, 1 minute, I got to go to the Gemara, I got to go to the Mishnah to see what I'm allowed to take out. That doesn't happen. Koidem chappen en noch dem kicken.
Es ist eine Sache, Dinge sich zu entschuldigen, für wie zu beten in der Schiss.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says. Arba Otor, Erev Pesach, Shechol Yos B'Shabbos. So Pesach, the first day of Pesach is a Sunday. So we know you have to be makar the Korban Pesach. It's a Korban that has a specified time. So it's Doich Shabbos. They're actually makar the Korban Pesach, the millions of them, on Shabbos, which is Erev Pesach. But you have to roast your part to eat not the Shabbos, which is Leil Pesach. That's, of course, not Doich Shabbos. So Arba Otor Shechol Yos B'Shabbos, Mafshit Nesa Pesach Ad HaChazon. Now, part of the process of preparing the Korban Pesach is to skin it. They would hang it by its hind legs and pull the skin down. They have to uncover the belly portion, because by cutting open the belly, they can access the imurim that have to be put onto the mizbeach. But you can't go past the breast. Past the breast, you continue to skin because you want to access the ribsteak, which will be eaten tonight. That I don't need right now. That can wait until tonight. That's what Divrei Shmuel B'noi shall rebirchen beberka. But the Chachamim Maimer, they all, once you could skin the animal, you can skin the entire animal. Mafshit in the school. I understand why you can only skin the part that releases the imurim. Whatever's tzarech chavaya, tzarech tekar, you're allowed to do. Whatever's for you to be able to eat, that you can't do. And of course, Reb Moshe Weinberg asked yesterday, eating kachim, that's also a mitzvah. But for some reason, the Gemara does not consider that tzarech chavaya. El Rabbanon, and Rashi actually says it beferish on the Maral. We'll look at that. El Rabbanon, according to the Rabbanon, who hold you could skin the whole animal, my time. All of these actions are for Hashem, and you're allowed to skin the whole animal because it also impacts the kedusha of the korban. How is that? How is it for korban kavaya? If you keep the skin on, it contains the heat and it'll cause the meat inside to rot. That's definitely not covered for a korban. You have an animal in the middle of being processed, it's hanging on the hook. Just leaving it around for a couple of hours, that doesn't look nice. It's like an abandoned piece of meat. That's also not the covered kosher. My benai, what's the difference between these two reasons? Either if you were preparing this meat on a golden table, so even though you leave it in the middle to come back later, that won't be a bezoin. It's sitting on the golden table. But if it's a question of rotting, it could still rot just because it's sitting on the golden table. Inami Yomi da Astana, which Rashi touches either a day where there's not a warm breeze but a neutral breeze, or maybe a day where there's even a cool breeze, which will prevent the animal from getting spoiled. So if the reason for getting spoiled, that wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't have to skin it. But if the reason that it's not accommodated to leave an animal in the middle of the way, mid-process, that still applies. Frank the Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel Benoish, Rabbi Yechon Mabreker, High Paul Hashem Levanai, my Ovidlay. What does he use it for? What do you use that puzzle for? So Gemara uses it Shlo Yosi as a Murin Koidim Afshat Sa'or. You might think, why do I have to peel the hide all the way off down to the rib cage? Let me just chop through it and get the Murin out. That you're not allowed to do. Why not? My time, Omar Bihuna, right up Nosen, you should name it. Because if you just have holes in the hide, and you stick your hand in and yank out the emurin, the fibers of the hide are going to get stuck to the emurin, and that's not nice. By skinning the animal completely to the chest, where you can fully access the belly area, there you'll be able to extract the emurin without them getting dirty. How are they going to answer back? How are they going to answer back why they should be allowed to skin it the whole way? So this is what their time was. If we allow you to be over at Rabbanon and carry out the container of the sefer together with the sefer, shouldn't we also allow us to do the skinning in order to salvage the meat? In fact, the Gemara, what type of time is that? Be dummy. Hasam tiltal. The shaila in the Mishnah about carrying the tick is merely a shaila of the metaltal muksa, or maybe be metaltal into a issue yarbanan, into a mother, which is issue yarbanan. But hacha malacha. We're talking about havshata. Skinning an animal is a malacha deraisa. It's right there in the process of preparing the hide to the deraisa. So how could you suggest that just because you could do it to Rabbanon, you can be over muksa, you should also be able to be over at deraisa? On Ravashi, you're right, but petartically, in fact, although it's ikar chaser min hasefer, the machloikas between Rabbi Yochanan and Beroika, between Rabbi Shmuel ben Noshel, Rabbi Yochanan and Beroika, the Chum, seems to be only about whether or not you're allowed to skin the animal. Zok Ravashi, below the surface, there's actually a secondary machloikas there as well. Pligi b'tiltal or pligi b'malachim. They also have a shaila if you're allowed to move this carcass around while the skin is still connected to it. There's a shaila on that as well. If you're allowed to move it around, move it out of the way. And it's on that machloikis where the Chachamim would argue the Rechma Breka, and this is what they would say regarding the Rabbanan de Kashal of Tiltal. The Matzil Tik HaSefer Im HaSefer, if you're allowed to move the case of the Sefer together with the Sefer, Loin Metaltal or Agav Basar, can we not be Metaltal, can we not carry the hide Agav, the Basar of the carbon? In fact, the Gemara, that doesn't even make any sense at all. Midami, Hazam Nasa Bosses, Ludover Amutter. The case, the tick, is a bosses for a Dover Amutter. It's a bosses for the Sefer Torah, which is a Dover Amutter, which you're allowed to carry. So that's why it's mutter to carry out the case. But Hacha, when we're talking about the skin, Nasa Bosses Ludover Ha'aser. The skin is a bosses to the meat, which is a Dover Ha'aser. And I just want to learn Rashi about Dover Ha'aser because it might be relevant to a conversation that I had yesterday with Moshe Weinberg. So let's see what it says. Hacha, Hai Or, Nasa Bosses, Ludover Shekulei Aser B'tiltel. This meat is completely Aser B'tiltel. Shabbosar Aser L'taltaloi. It's Aser to eat this meat from the carbon Pesach. You're not supposed to be eating this meat from the carbon Pesach until tonight, which is Leil Pesach. Because the Pesach ain't in Lechel Ela Balayla, but Soli. Pesach can only be eaten that night. So Shabbos, the day you're preparing the carbon Pesach, that day the meat cannot be eaten. And this is an important point. Rabbi Shmuel Lesle Kavod Shemayim V'Nechel Lahedjit. So this touches a little bit on what I discussed with Moshe Weinberg. Rabbi Shmuel holds that anything that's Nechel Lahedjit is not called Kavod Shemayim. It's a mitzvah of achila. If it's Nechel Lahedjit, it's not called Kavod Shemayim.
That's not true. That's not true because you're allowed to shech the carbon Pesach or Pesach.
Right, because that's covered kavoda. That's where you mark with the carbon. That's for the emurim. There's rikas dam, but the eating itself is not called kavod shemayim. So you split the carbon. The parts of the carbon that are l'gvoya, yeah, that is kavod shemayim. But the parts of the carbon, even though they're karbonos, there's a mitzvah to eat them. But the parts that nechol hedid, Shmuel does not consider that kavod shemayim when he's discussing the chilul Shabbos. Afilu have an or Torah's clear love, even if the or hasn't been keli, and the or itself would not be muktzah, mitzvah would be usher here. We should have a bosses for isser. The or is the bosses to the meat, which is usher now on Shabbos before the time of Bechila. The Cholshkin do gufay lavar tilti. Cholshkin, the meat itself, you can't tell. So I'm sorry, Cholshkin, the or is something that's not about tilti.
So it's a little, the question here, there's really two things happening. There's the tick and there's the mice. When we're asking our questions.
At this point in the Gemara, there's no money yet. The Gemara didn't bring money in. Now we're just talking about the only thing that's in the tick is the Sefer Torah.
Yeah, if you look though at the Rashi, and that's, I'm beginning to understand this a lot better. If I look at this Rashi, if you look at the Rashi, 8 lines from the bottom on the Amud Aleph, you see tick ema sefer.
On the Amud Aleph down here, on this same Amud that we're on?
On Amud Beis, I mean. Tick ema sefer. V'afal pi sheyesh b'soichay mois.
But the Mishnah specifically says, yesh b'soichay mois.
I'm
but
saying,
right now in the Gemara, at this stage of the Gemara didn't bring that factor in yet.
Rashi's bringing it down. Rashi's
saying. Yeah.
So the question is.
Rashi's going a little bit of maskana.
But that takes away the question. You know, I was saying you get a benefit from the tefillin, but the point is it's not the tefillin we're talking about. It's the mois. The mois is not something that's a mitzvah. The mois is strictly your mois. And maybe that's why Rashi's saying it up here is he's bringing it into this Rashi because even though the Gemara doesn't stress it, but
the Gemara will stress it in a minute, and Rashi says also right? So Rashi over here brings it as well.
Over here we're for sure saying it, but I'm saying even at the beginning, it's the moist part that's the question, not the.
The Gemara would be bringing the raya from.
Even though it doesn't say.
Right, even though the nusach is not stressing the moist, Rashi saying like a little bit of maskana, that's really where the raya is from. It's not just that you can bring the tick; it's that you can bring the tick that has money inside it. That's correct.
And the moist is fully yours. It's
correct.
Not.
It's Kulei the hedged. It's Kulei hedged, not covered with oil. That's right. So the Gemara says you can't bring a raya from a bosses l'davar amuter to a bosses l'davar osher. Elahachik amirle. Matzil and tick shall sefer in a sefer the alpha b'shesh b'seichel moist. The stress is on the moist, like our Moshe just said. There, you're allowed to move. You're allowed to move this container, even though there's money in it, which is a davar osher. Loy nitatel or agav bosher. We should also be able to be without the or agav the bosher because even though they're both a davar osher. So to Gemara again, there's no comparison from a tick with moist to skinning the meat, to carrying the not skinning, to carrying the hide. Midami. Hazam nasa bosses l'davar ha'osher u'davar hamuter. In the case of the tick's not only a bosses to the money inside it, the tick is also a container to the safer inside it. That's why it would be mutter to carry the tick. But hacha, when we're talking about the skin and the meat, kula nasa bosses l'davar ha'osher. All the meat, everything contained within that oil right now is osher. There is no heter. So you can't bring me a raya from a case where it's a bosses for a davar osher and a davar mutter. Just because over there it's mutter to carry it. So too over here, where it's exclusively a bosses for a davar osher, you should be able to carry it. And lahachik amrla, this is what they must have meant to argue. In Mavin tik sheish b'soichem mois me almo lahatzel boy sefer Torah. You don't just it's not just you have a sefer Torah in a tick and there's money there and you're lifting it all together. No, forget it. The sefer Torah was not even in a wrapper. It wasn't in a tick. And you went to the other side of the room, you found yourself some container that happened to have money in it, and you took that container with only money inside it, you brought it over to the sefer Torah, you put the sefer Torah inside it, then you take it out. But the raya that we're bringing is from the fact that you're moving, you're being metalto, the tick even before it had a sefer Torah in it. So, im mevi'in tick sheish b'sechem mois me'alma, lahatel by sefer Torah, loy netatel orak and buzzer. The problem is, where in the world do you see in the Mishnah that you can do that? The Mishnah's case seems to be where the Sefer Torah is already in the tick. Where do you get this from? That you can bring a tick me'alma that has money inside it, and you can bring it over to the Sefer Torah. That's what the Gemara challenges. How do you know that's even true? If you want to say it's true because of svara, you're using Talmudic logic. Since you would say, sure, I have a tick with a Sefer Torah inside it. There's money inside it as well. I'm transporting the Sefer Torah outside. But the Mishnah doesn't say you have to shake out the money before you go. The Mishnah says you can go with the money. So therefore, since you're allowed to transport the tick with money in it, and you don't have to shake it out, then the Gemara wants to go to the next logical conclusion, that he's Suyanami Maisina. Obviously, we don't care about the money when it comes to saving Sefer Torah. So then
What about the fact that
you're probably allowed to take a tick with money in it only and bring it over to the Sefer Torah to put the Sefer Torah in. I'm sorry, Rebbe.
What about once a basis l'davar also and mutter once a basis l'davar?
That was the Gemara's kasha earlier. Midami.
Right. So why?
So the Gemara answered that we're talking about the tick even before you put the Sefer Torah in it. You're allowed to go pick up a tick that has money in it and no Sefer Torah. And you're allowed to walk with it over to the Sefer Torah and then load the Sefer Torah in. But we're bringing a riot from just bringing the tick with the money over. There you're allowed to bring it even though it's all usher. So too, in our busser, even though it's all usher, you should be able to do it.
Is this because Chas
No, because we wouldn't allow you to do this for your own stuff. It's because of the covenant of Svarim. In order to save the Sefer Torah, the Svarim, they're allowing it. They actually specifically don't allow it for your own stuff.
I mean, when it talks about midahechad islay, we're not talking about taking it. What's the case of midahechad islay?
I'm not sure where to look.
Where you are, where we're up to. Ilema midahechad islay.
Ilema, the Gemara wants to know, how do you know that you're allowed to take a tick that only has money in it and you're allowed to carry it over to the Sefer Torah? How do you know that? So the Gemara wants to say, maybe you know it because the Mishnah doesn't say that. The case of the Mishnah is the Sefer Torah is in a tick with money. So how do you know you can bring a tick over with money with no Sefer Torah in it? Where do you see that? So if you want to say that you figured it out because the Islay, the Ispay Shadilahu, in our Mishnah, when you have a Sefer Torah with a tick in it, you don't throw it out. So I apologize. So this is where your kasha was. Your kasha was, how do you get from this step to this step?
Right.
That's the Gemara's next kasha. Frank the Gemara, Moshe kasha, midami. There's a very big difference. Hasam adahachi v'hachli naflat leika. In that case, the reason why you're allowed. Actually, I'm sorry. I take that back. The Gemara doesn't make that distinction between the fact that it's a bosses l'davar mutter and l'davar ha'asr. It does not make that distinction. It says a difference for it. It says there, if you delay, you already have the Sefer Torah in the package, you're ready to go. If you stop to delay to shake the money out, you might get engulfed by the fire. It's going to delay it. But hacha, when I'm talking about bringing the tick over from a distance, while you're walking, get rid of the money. So I want to stop here because Moshe is asking the very good kasha. It's boss. Okay, so let's do this. Midami. Moshe's question. Thank you, Rebelio. My like Amar Hasam Nasa Bosses, Ladovar Mutter, Uladovar Aser, Hacha Nasa Bosses, Ladovar Aser Green. So Moshe, you asked Toshis a kasha. Thank you, Rebelio. The Shloimar, the Ein Nira Loy Lachalak. The Gemara doesn't hold at this point to make that distinction. Given the Hashta Sover, Shiyachal Lenar Mois Menakis, since at this point the Gemara holds that there's no reason why you can't just shake the money out. Afilo Hachi Ein Tzarech Lenar. Nevertheless, you don't see that there's a need to shake it out. So sure, you might take some mutter because it's a bosses lever Russell lever mutter. But even if it was a case where it's a bosses lever Russell lever mutter, you still have to shake it out. Yet the Mishnah says you don't have to shake it out. Because sorry, call shu I said let's say Torah. So once you're saying that you're waiving these derabonans for the purposes of saving Sefer Torah, we could take it to the next step. Who I did the shari lavi tik sheyesh by my screen. So in the Chanami, and Moshe kasha is a Toshis and Galatan kasha, but the Gemara is trying to bring a raya even with that. even with that, the fact is you see that there's no hakpada to get rid of the isser. So if there's no hakpada to get rid of the isser, you should have no problem bringing over something that's a tick that's only the dover awesome. So Zotima, you don't have a riot because over there, if you shake it out, really you would have to shake it out. But the Rabban's not going to say shake it out if it adds risk, then now you might get engulfed in flames. But if you're anyway coming over from the other side of the room with this bag that has money in it, hold it upside down, shake it out as you're approaching the Sefer Torah. So you don't have a raya that a bosses ladover her asr alone would be allowed. So because of that, we're stuck. We don't know what type of raya the Chachamim are bringing from our Mishnah. And because of that, we don't have shot. So the Gemara goes back to the original. Don't say what Rav Ashi says, that there's two machlokes in here. A machlokes if you're allowed to skin the animal, and a machlokes if you're allowed to be metal to it. That it doesn't say that in the Brisa. It was very sure the Chila. It's only talking about a deraisa of hefshin. How can you bring a raya from the fact that you could be metaltal, a tick, to the fact that you could do a deraisa and skin an animal? The teretz is it's a davar she'eino mechavan, and I guess we're going according to Reb Shimon, because I have no interest in the skin over here. I'm only interested in making an opening to get to the emur. Even the like a boiler the or, since I'm not trying to skin the animal, I'm just trying to create an access to get the emurim out. Therefore, there's no problem here. It's not a deraisa. Straight to Gemara, you cannot get to the emurim without skinning the animal. So it's a psikration. By Harava, the Amri Tavayu, Moedi Rab Shimon, the psikration of Leonis. So it's still a deraisa. But Gemara, no, the Shakalei Bebarsi. You didn't even skin normally. Rather, Rashi the chaticha is dakos. Mafshit bechoitach. You're not skinning it like you normally skin an animal with one big movement, taking it all off in one shot. Rather, you took it off piece by piece. The aim there chavshata bekach v'lav alachu el shvus. So the discussion that the Chachamim argue on Shmuel ben Noshel Rabbi Yochanan ben Bereika is not speaking where there's a malacha deraisa involved. It's speaking where there's only a derban involved. And that's why they felt you could bring a nice raya from our Mishnah, which is also a shaila about waving Yisur Derabanan in order to save Kavod Shemai. Okay, that's the end of the sunnah. In our Mishnah, the Mishnah says, where can you take the Sefer Torah to? So the first shita in our Mishnah was the Chachamim. And the Chacham says only to a Movi she'eino mefulish. And then Beseir said aflu mefulish, and that was a little bit shverlich, because that seems like it's a deraisa of hoitzah, reshus hayochad, reshus harab. So the Gemara is going to explain, in fact, it's not that way. Heichadami mefulish, heichadami she'eino mefulish. What exactly is mefulish and not mefulish? Zok the Gemara. Amar b'chista, sholosh mechitzos. Imagine you have a courtyard that has 3 walls on either side, on each of the 3 sides, and the 4th wall is open to the Rishus Harabim. So Midei Raisa, we already know that's not Rishus Harabim. But you need to have a hecker to be moderate, and there's 2 things you need. You need to have some type of physical barrier that indicates that this is now a different Rishus, it's not Rishus Harabim anymore. And you also need something called Shitufa Mevuyos, which is like an Erev Vechatzeres. They have to take one of food and be kohen on behalf of everybody there, place it in one house, and that joins everybody in the entire movie. So Amar B'chista, the case was sholosh mechitzos. There were 3 doorways, ushnei lechayim, and on each side of the opening to Rishus Harabim there was a vertical post. Zeu movi she'eino mefulish. That's a movi she'eino mefulish. Gimel mechitzos for lechi echad, but if there are 3 mechitzos only in 1 lechi, that's a movi mefulish. So kum d'chayis, they're both only Isur Derabanan, because you have a movi that's closed on 3 walls. Either it has 2 hekerim or it has 1 heker. But either way, it's only a Isur Derabanan. So right away, our Mishnah is not shver anymore. There's no chance here that we'll be matar deraisa. But who is the one who holds that in order to make a movi mutter, you need 2 lechis, 1 on each side? that's not the sheet of everybody. That's not even how we pass Malach L'Maisa. That's only the Tavaya Alu Rabbi Eliezer. This is according to the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer, who's very machmer when it comes to Shituvim Avuyais, and he holds you need two lechis. Did not. Hechsher Movi, Mishami Aymer Lechi V'Kaira. You need a vertical beam, a vertical post, and then you need a beam going across the top. Which is how we pass it. Either a beam going across the top of the opening or a post along the side, which creates a hecker when you walk in. Oh, this is already a different place. This is no longer Rosh Hashanah. You need two lechis, which is very chorodik. And based on that, we want to say that the case where Bryce says is a movi, she'edim foolish. That's if there's two lechis, meaning it's perfect, and it follows all the guidelines to make it mutter to carry there. And the Seir says even the movi foolish, meaning it doesn't have two lechis, but it has one lechi, but of course it's only at Rabba. Omali Rabba. Rabbi said this makes no sense to learn pshat like this. Because Gimel Mechitzos, the lechi echad, the foolish karis. You're calling that foolish? That's not foolish, just because it doesn't meet the high exacting standards of Rabbi Eliezer. You're going to call that a foolish? Foolish really sounds like it's a Rosh Hashanah D'Oraisa. The oid, and even if you're going to learn like Rabbi Eliezer, and you'll learn that the Tanakama of our Mishnah says that you have two lechis, and that's why it's a movish and foolish. Well, if it has two lechis, why could you only carry a Sefer Torah to salvage it from fire? Not to let him save everything that he has in his house. It's 100% what to carry there. If it wasn't for the fire, he could carry anything out that he wants into the muffin. So why can't he do that now? So because of that, Rabbi does not like the pshat of Rabbi Chisda. El Rabbi, it's not so radical. Rather, it's shtei mechitzos. You didn't have three walls. There were only two walls around this movie. Ushnei lechim. But there was one post on either end of this movie. So you have two parallel walls, and then you have two. Then you have two sets of parallel walls. You have two parallel walls with walls, and the other two parallel walls just have a post in place of a wall. Zem movish edim foolish. That's considered the movish edim foolish, meaning you're allowed to carry there. Shtei mechitzos v'lechi echad. But if you only had a post on one end, not on the other end, zehu movi and foolish. That would be a movi and foolish. Also, only also derabah. The tervayu alibu derabah. And this time the machloikis is not working with a Eliezer shita. It's working with a much more kunadik shita, the shita of Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, Yeser al Kain Amar Rabbi Yehuda. We learned this. Mishiyesh the shnei batim, the shnei tzidei Rosh Hashanah. If someone owns two houses directly across the street from each other, so theoretically, each of the two houses form two parallel walls on two sides of the Rosh Hashanah. All I got to do is enclose two more walls, and then I have a closed area where I should be able to carry it to. So what does the Yehuda say? Oysa lechem mikan v'lechem mikan. Put one post on one end, one post on the other end. Oy kari mikan v'kari mikan. Similar to Beis Hillel Shita, that you only need either a lechi or a kaira to enclose the space. And then the noisa b'emtza. Now, you might have cars going through there, but you've created for yourself a virtual Rosh Hashanah in between your two houses. And now the street's yours. Your kids can play hopscotch and play ball there. It's you've claimed that space as Rosh Hashanah because of the lechi or the kaira that you put on the other end. Amar Loi, the Chachamim didn't like Rabbi Yehuda's kula. They said, "Ein ma'aravin ma'arvin Rosh Hashanah bekach." You cannot make an erev in a Rosh Hashanah. It's a street. Can't do that. But I'll call upon him. Rabbi Yehuda holds you could. So Zek the Gemara, Zok Rabbah, that's how I want to learn the Mishnah. When the Tanakhama says, Dafka Movi, She'enim foolish, it means there was a lechi on either end, which according to Rabbi Yehuda makes it into a real Rosh Hashanah. And when the Messiah added Movi foolish, he meant that there's only a lechi on one side, and there it would be awesome. For the Gemara, it's still shver. Amr Loi, Amr Loi Abaye told Rabbi, your pshat's no good. Because l'didach nami l'Rabbana natzel l'saycha echel l'mashke. According to your pshat, the Rabbana learns that there's a lechi on either end, which according to Rabbi Yehuda is a perfect Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Yehuda said noisa b'emtza. So if that's the case, your kasha that you asked Rabbi Chisda is right back on you. Why can you only be matzah l'sefer Torah? You should also be able to take everything in your rishos out there Because if it wasn't for the fire, you surely could do that. So Rabashi, there's another pshat. This is the pshat that I like. Rabashi, shalosh mechitzos v'lechi echad zeh mavui she'einu mafurish. And Rashi tells us that bein Rabbanan uvein ben b'seira karbelezer svir lahu the boy gimel mechitzos ubeis l'chayoyin ba'am. Really, you need 3 mechitzos and 2 l'chayim. V'hacha l'gabe sefer. There's a special kula l'gabe sefer Torah to save it. Ami Rabbanan that moidi Rabbi Eliezer v'lechi echad. To save the Sefer Torah, Rabbi Eliezer will relax his normal requirements for a movi of 2 lechis and accept 1 lechi as enough just to be able to salvage the Sefer Torah. But for your own personal items, you would need 2 lechis. When the Seir Omer, the moide Rabbi Eliezer af beloy lechi, Rabbi Eliezer would be moide even without the lechi that it would be moide. So let's see what it says over here. So El Omer Abashi Shalosh Mechitzos v'lechi echad zeh mavi she'einu mafurish. This is a mavi she'einu mafurish that according to Tanakama, Rabbi Eliezer will relax his restriction and he will allow only for a Sefer Torah, but not for anything else. So that right away answers the kasha, why can't you salvage anything else? Because to salvage anything else, you need to have 2 lechis. But Gimel Mechitzos beloy lechi, if you had 3 mechitzos with no lechi at all, that's a maveh mafurish. And the Becerra holds that to save a Sefer Torah, even with no lechi at all, you'd be allowed to do that. Now, Filu Rabbi Eliezer, Damar B'inu L'chayayim, Hanamili La'oichel No Mashku. That's only to save your personal items, you need to have 2 lechis. And with Sefer Torah, Bechad Lechi Sagi, according to Tanakama, according to Becerra, to save a Sefer Torah, even with 0 lechis, we will allow you to save a Sefer Torah. Zok the Helig Gemara Vater. Interesting Gemara. Zok the Helig Mishnah. Matzilin Mazan Gimel Sudois. Gimel Sudois. A person has a fire in his house Friday evening. He wants to save, so he cannot save everything in his house, but he could save enough food for 3 meals. 3 meals corresponds to the 3 meals that we eat every Shabbos. That's why you're allowed to save 3 meals. Can't prepare them anymore. Too late. Shabbos has started already. However, Haroyu La'adam. Food that's fit for a human, you could save for people. Food that's fit for a behema, you can save for a behema.
What's the issue here? Tircha or Haitzah?
The Gemara is going to discuss that right away. So let's see the Gemara. Ketzat, what was the case? Naflat leika b'leilei Shabbos. A fire broke out Friday evening before the Suda. So there's still 3 Sudas ahead of you. Matzilin Mazan Gimel Sudas. The Shachris, if the fire broke out in the morning before the meal, but after you already ate the Friday night meal, Matzilin Mazan Beisudais. The Mincha Mazan Sudachas. If Yosy Emer Lo'ila Matzilin Mazan Shalashudais, 3 Sudas is prescriptive. It doesn't matter when on Shabbos it is. Frank the Gemara, Rabbi Moshe Weinberg's question.
Why not Malav Malk also? It's part of Shabbos.
Because I guess that you can prepare that once Shabbos. And then by Pshalach Yistir, they started preparing Malav Malka Motzei Shabbos. They shechted, they prepared, and people would come from Budapest all the way to Keir on Motzei Shabbos by train to join the Shalashudot, his Malav Malka. So his Malav Malka must have started late at night. Michti Zaktimar.
Yosy?
Yes.
Per person?
Of the 3 Sudas?
Yeah, per person?
I believe so, because the Mishnah says, meaning, if there's a behemoth there, you can also save animal food. So I think it means per person. I'm not sure, but I think if anybody has a swear otherwise, I'd love to hear it. So let's see what it says weiter. According to Rabbi Yosy, where it's prescriptive, maybe not, but according to the Tanakama, for sure. So frankly, more michti, the heter katar. There's no issue here. He's not going from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. He's not taking anything that's muksa. Not so tzvay. Why can't he sell everything? Why can't he salvage everything? Since a person is panicking in a time of fire to save his stuff, if we let him get into a deep frenzy to salvage everything, if we let him save everything, he's going to panic. He's going to want to get everything saved. Also, he might just put the fire out to save all of his possessions. But if we're only let him take a little bit, he's not in a frenzy because he knows this little bit he can get out without going crazy. So he won't lose himself, and he won't, by mistake, extinguish the flame.
There's certainly an equally logical story in the opposite direction. That if a person knows that he can take everything out, he doesn't have to worry about putting out the fire. If he's watching his life savings.
Sure he does, because he might not, he's in a race against the fire. So if I'm salvaging my stuff and there's a big fire, oh my, am I going to panic? Because what if the fire gets to it before I get to it? You know, in a real life situation, the firemen don't even let you go into the building. So in those days, they didn't have those regulations. But you're going crazy, you're running in and out quickly to save your stuff. And imagine you see something you're not going to get to, and you're in a panic, you might just put the fire out. But if we limit what you're allowed to take out, then Pashtus, you'll just take that out and you won't do anything else. Amalei Abaye, Elaha, Titania. If you're talking about Xeris, and that's the reason why we prevent people from salvaging losses, well, what about this case? The bride says, Nishbur lechodus b'reishkak. A person had a barrel, let's say, of wine on his roof, and it broke. So now he's panicking because his wine is leaking out. So the halach is, maybe kli, he's allowed to bring a basin, and put it underneath the chavis to capture the wine that leaks out. So Rashi explains, it's on the roof. So the wine is draining across the roof, and then it's going to fall off the roof. It's going to fall off the roof in a stream. You're not allowed to take a keli and put it underneath the stream of wine that's running off the roof, that's draining off the roof, and capture the wine. You're not allowed to do that. Or if you're not allowed to take a keli on the roof and try to scoop up some of the wine that's coming out. That you're not allowed to do. Frankly, Gemara, Hasan my Xerika. What is there? There's no fire to put out there. What possible deraisa can you come to? Why should we prevent somebody from being yiklite, from being yitzra? So Gemara, Hachanami Xer Shemiyodi Keli Derech Rishusarabim. If we only like to use one keli to put under it, no problem. But if we say you can salvage as much wine as you want through any means necessary, well, then you might run across the Rosh Hashanah to your neighbor to borrow a bucket that he has so that you can scoop up some wine. And in order to prevent that from happening, we limit it to one keli that he can put underneath the barrel. Gufas up to more. Nishbur lechavas b'reishkagay maybe kli u'mnich tachtel v'avad shlo yavi kli achav v'yiklet kli achav v'yitzar. What if it's his lucky day and he has visitors and now he needs to feed them wine? So now he has to capture wine to give it to them. Now he's not salvaging it. He's serving his guests. Then maybe kli achav v'koilet kli achav v'yitzar. Then he could. No problem. But v'lo yiklet the achach yasmin. You shouldn't first salvage wine be'isser and then retroactively try to fix it by inviting guests. But if you want to invite guests, invite them first, and once you've invited them, then you can quickly scoop up the wine. But the ein ma'arimin bekach. But you're not allowed to invite guests just to salvage your wine. So you'll find guests that are full and satiated, that are not in the mood of eating. You'll invite them to come drink with you, and you'll save all this wine, and you say, "Sir, my wonderful guest, please have a glass of wine." "Oh, no, I'm not hungry. I'm not thirsty. I'm not going to have any." "Really? You know what? Okay, I'll put it back in the cabinet." That you're not allowed to do. But Mishum Yosy Marivin. In fact, you are allowed to invite just for the sake of trying to save your wine. So the Gemara wants to say this machloikis as to whether or not you're allowed to be married when it comes to being over Yisur D'Rabbanan is totally another machloikis of tonight.
Is that only the amount that it would feed them, or once you're doing it, you can do more according to the Mariman?
I would assume it's only what you could serve to guests. I would assume it's not like this is not dimly kloy archim of Yom Tov where you're allowed to cook unlimited.
Official, right?
Zot Gemara lema the pluto der belezer the Tanya. We all know that you're not allowed to kill a father and a son behemoth the same day.
A mother and
or
a son.
Mother. It's a mother or a father. It's Yosy, not Yosy. So Yosy Vespanai is applicable to a child and its parent, whether it's a male or female parent. So a baby animal and a mother animal or a father animal fell into a board together. It's on Yom Tov. Now you're allowed to take an animal out to shech because you're allowed to prepare food on Yom Tov, but you cannot eat both of these animals today. So the question is, can you get both these animals out of the bar today? So they're enough of the bar. The first animal you can take out almanas to shechted, because the tzorich eichel nefesh, you're allowed to do a tircha. The Israel of taking this animal to tircha. But Vasheni, the second animal, which you cannot shech today, you may not extract from the bar today. But what you do is, you have to give the animal the attention that it needs, the food that it needs, while it remains in the bar, so it shouldn't die. And tomorrow you can take it out of the bar. Yeshua, you can pull a stunt. You could say, I like that. There's two animals here. That's the one I want to eat. I want to have that one. So you take out one animal because you want to eat it. And after you take it out, you look around and say, you know what? It really looked good when I was looking down at it in the bar. But now it doesn't look so good anymore. The one in the bar looks much better. I'd rather eat the one in the bar. Yeah. He can change his mind and not check it. Let me just finish the sentence. And he can bring up the second one. I'm sorry?
So, but why do you have to go through that whole spiel? Why don't you just take them both up and decide then which one you want? Because right now you don't know which one you want.
So I guess if a zoivite, you're not allowed to do that on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to take two out to select. You have to, whatever you're taking out has to be at that time with the intention of shechting.
There's no nafkamina if you hold brera or no brera. That doesn't apply.
I don't think so. But you're asking a more to kasha because I didn't even think of that. From your kasha, we actually learn a halacha that you're allowed to do malachas on Yom Tov, tzorach nefesh. That means if it's a direct, what you're doing is direct for nefesh. But if it's just because I want to create a pool to select from, you see, there's no heter to do that. I don't know this other than from your ha'ara, and I think you're bringing a very good raya from this Gemara. It's a very good point. Now, once you have them both up, so this is similar to our case of whether or not you're marrying with guests to be able to save the wine. So you don't have a raya. You might. Why did Eliezer outlaw, prevent you from bringing up the second animal? You're not going to lose anything. You'll feed the animal that day, and then tomorrow you'll take it out. Here, by the wine, if I don't salvage that wine today, there is no wine left tomorrow to salvage. So maybe Rabbi Eliezer would be moida, in our case, that you could be marrying with Archim to save your wine. Why was Yeshua allowing you to be married to take out both animals? There's another factor involved. It's not very comfortable for an animal to be stuck in the bar. So using the svar of Tzar B'Chaim, adding that to the equation will allow you to take both animals up. There's no Tzar B'Chaim other than the owner of the wine having a lot of tzar, but there's no Tzar B'Chaim on the wine and the wine's there on the floor. Loi, maybe Rabbi Shua would not allow you to make a haram. So the Gemara blocks the shayla on that.
Why didn't you just say, Yosy, why didn't you just say that Yeshua says you should bring them up because Tzar B'Chaim? Forget this whole shtick. Just bring them up about Tzar B'Chaim.
Because I guess because of Tzar B'Chaim alone, you're not allowed to violate Yom Tov.
You're not allowed to what?
Violate the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan Yom Tov.
Which the Rabbanan?
Well, what's the issue here? What's Bechlal the problem of bringing Sam up? I believe it's Tircha. It's a Tircha Yisrael. I don't know what other issue there's involved.
Yeah, but
no Malacha Deraisa here.
I think a Tircha would be pushed off for being bold on the Moina. That would be less. That'd be more of a Tircha to be bold than to pick it up.
So once again, your kasha creates a huge chiddush that you see from here that bol on the moinai works and Tzar B'Chaim is not enough of a reason to do tircha. Your kasha is really a riot. You're highlighting from the Gemara. It's clear that Tzar B'Chaim alone would not have been a reason to pull an animal out, which is interesting. Because there's a shayla if you're allowed to feed animals on Shabbos. And if it's an animal that relies on you, you're allowed to feed it on Shabbos. Right? We learned that about a dog who doesn't have where to eat, Tzar B'Chaim, you are allowed to feed it on Shabbos.
No, it says first to feed your animals and then to eat.
Right, so you're allowed to feed animals on Shabbos.
Yeah, that's nothing. Tzabal Chaim and this that. You have a halacha l'Moshe Mishinai. It's the writer that you have to feed your animal before you eat.
But we had a Gemara, and I don't remember exactly where it is, that even
Says
if
for
it's
the
somebody
Sabbath-
else's dog, that's your animal, but even if it's somebody else's dog, we learned that you're allowed to feed it because it doesn't have where to eat. It's Sargal Chaim.
That's a reshus that you are allowed to feed it.
Right.
Aber v'achalto v'savato, it says v'nasati esav b'sadachol v'femtecha,
And then the ultimate.
v'achalto. That's it.
I hear.
You have a the ricer that you have to feed the animal before you eat.
Okay, so let's see the price of item. In those days, nowadays, whole grain bread, that's the ultimate. And white bread is considered less because black lives matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black bread matters. But in the olden days, white bread was the bread of Ashirim, and it's the poor people who ate whole grain bread. So the Shaila is here, because what happens if you had a fire and you wanted to save yourself 3 meals, and Hitzel Pas Nakia, you salvage good bread, high quality bread. And then you see you have some whole grain bread there, and you want to salvage it, in Matzel Pas Hardra. You cannot go save a lower grade bread because you have already better stuff. The Pas Hardra, if you saved yourself low grade bread, then Matzel Pas Nakia, you're allowed to go save Pas Nakia because you're allowed to have an upgrade of the bread. Umatzilin the Yom Kippur no Shabbos. If there's a fire in Yom Kippur, you're allowed to save meals for Shabbos because otherwise you're not going to be able to prepare them. Avaloni Shabbos Yom Kippur. But if Yom Kippur falls out on a Sunday and there's a fire on Shabbos, you're not allowed to salvage food for Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur
Can never fall on a Sunday.
Nowadays it can't. Nowadays it cannot because we have a set calendar. But in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, when they were still in the Kaddish Chodesh with Adam who saw the moon, we had earlier also that Yom Kippur could fall out on Friday and it could fall out on Sunday, even though by us it doesn't happen. So in the case where in the olden days where they were Mekadosh B'Riyah, if Yom Kippur was on a Sunday and there was a fire on Shabbos, you would not be allowed to salvage any food for Yom Kippur. And Rashi says Yom Kippur you only need it at night. At night you could prepare food much Yom Kippur. Then Tzarech Leimer MiShabbos LeYom you for sure cannot prepare food from Shabbos to Yom Tov because on Yom Tov you can prepare food. But Leimer Shabbos LeShabbos Haba, you're also not allowed to salvage food this Shabbos for next Shabbos. Tanu Rabbanan.
Yosy, quick order. When it talks about the upgrades over there by Bas Hadra to next Pas Nakia, it doesn't say that you did it without knowing you had a better one. There's no Tanai that you didn't, when you took the first one, you didn't know you had a better one. Sounds like you take the worse one you get. So then you can always go down from the bottom and keep going up.
Maybe what is Rashi? Let's see if Rashi says it. Hitzel Pas Nakia l'shalish shadosh l'yatzel Pas Hadra Pas Kiver shenitol Hadra v'she'ein arma kshera loimer Pas Hadra nichli because I can't use a harama, but the other way around I could use a harama. So you want a taina, I could do it b'harama. I can actually do it b'harama. Rashi's clear saying it's harama. So Rashi's clear saying you're allowed to first take out the worst grade bread and then fine. So I think Rashi says almost mafurish. I think Rashi's saying almost mafurish like what you're saying. That the only time you can't do harama is if you took a higher grade bread. But if you took a lower grade bread, you could do harama. So I think that's exactly what you're saying, no? Would you agree to me that Rashi's mashma like what you're saying? No.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. It's like, yes.
Okay, Gavalti, thank you. Okay. So now we have an interesting case. What happened was, is shachach pas b'tam. You put bread in the oven, you left it in the oven, and you forgot to take it out before Shabbos. Now, if you leave it in the oven, it's going to burn to a crisp. You have an oven full of bread, and it's going to burn to a crisp. So the halacha is, matzilin mozon shalosh sudas. You're allowed to save enough food, enough bread for 3 sudas. Not only that, but you can tell all your friends, boyu v'atzilu lachem. Guys, whoever wants free bread, there's a full oven full. help yourself. But when you take the bread, when you scrape the bread off the wall of the oven, don't use the right tool to do that. And scrape it off with a Jewish screwdriver.
What's the issue on this?
We're going to soon see. That's a very good point, because if there's no issue, what's the problem? In fact, the more any, but Tanu the very Shmuel loisasa kol malacha yotzot ki shayfa redias apas she chachma vein malacha. So that's exactly the more question. What is the issue? As a matter of fact, it's not an issue. Redias apas would not be also on Shabbos. It's a chachma, it's not a malacha. So what's the problem? Why can't you take your mirda and take them all out? So tomorrow. We try not to do things on Shabbos the way we normally do things b'choil, and therefore we tell you to do it in an unusual way as much as possible.
Is that why they say that the chul that you make Erev Shabbos, that you make for Shabbos, should be completely cooked before Shabbos?
No, I think the reason for that is because then there might be an Isser Shehiyah. We're afraid that you're going to stir the pot to get it to cook faster. So we tell you if it's fully cooked before Shabbos and it's mistamik for alloy, then there's no chashash that someone might fan the flames to make it cook faster. Amar Rav Chisda, la'olam yashkim adam loitzah Shabbos. You shouldn't start preparing for Shabbos 10 minutes before. You should get up early in the morning. And first thing in the morning on Friday, you should start preparing for Shabbos. Shenemar, it says by the Mon, on the sixth day, where 2 portions of Mon fell, it says, la'altar. They should prepare what they brought in, and that is a connotation of la'altar right away. And when did the Mon fall? Rashi tells us it fell first thing in the morning. So you see, first thing in the morning, it was a tzivui to immediately be involved in preparing for Shabbos. Rashi says, "V'chinus shevil altar b'shas hava hachana." When was the hava? Hava b'ashkami was early in the morning. The siva yilkadu oisev abayker b'bayker. The Rebbeinu Shalom made the month fall early in the morning. Zok tehel gemor vayter. Omar.
Lamaisa, the women start preparing for Shabbos on Tuesday.
That's right. So that's it. Because they're Noshim Tzidkanias. Our
Well,
wives are Noshim Tzidkanias.
You're supposed to start on Wednesday. That's why we said today, Luchun Ranino. That's the Raya.
Well, the Gemara has stories in I think it was Exclusion, where different of the I think it was a buyer, one of the big Amiroyim would buy an animal every day of the week for Shabbos, and every day he would find a better one, so he would constantly abandon the one that he had before and buy a new one. So you see, they were looking out for Shabbos early.
Also hat gehabt das Essen der ganze Woche.
That's right. So, Amar Rav Abba, the Shabbos chayav adam l'ftsoya al shtei kikros. You have to cut 2 kikros, 2 lechum, when you're baking moitzi on Shabbos. We don't pass like that. Amar Vashi, Chazinu Rav Kahana, the Nogatarti, he held 2 in the sand to make a bracha, or a botzachada. He only cut one of them, which is arming. Why? Amar liktuksiv. When it says Lechem Mishnah, it says it regarding the word liktu. So let's see inside. V'imei mashishi loktu Lechem Mishnah. It doesn't say botzu Lechem Mishnah. It says loktu. So you should have them, hold them in your hands together, but avada you don't have to cut them off. Reb Zeir have a botza akula sherusa. When Reb Zeir cut himself a piece of challah, he cut himself a piece of challah that was big enough to last him for the whole meal, which looked somewhat gluttonous. Doesn't that look a little bit gluttonous? Not becoming of a Talmud Chacham, such as yourself. Since Reb Zeir never does this every day, he's only doing it on Shabbos. It won't look gluttonous. Rather, it'll be clear to everybody that he's doing it only because of Kavod Shabbos. I just want to point out one of my favorite Rashis in Shas. Rashi says, "Frusa gedola, the dai loi ba lo suda." There'll be enough with this piece to last them the whole meal. Ulachavit Shabbos, and there's Kavod Shabbos. Why is that Kavod Shabbos? So Rashi, the Nira Kamachav Suda Shabbos, this Chazik Velecha El Harbe. There's a special mitzvah to eat a lot. So before Rashi, this is not the conjecture. Rashi says it's a mitzvah on Shabbos to eat a lot.
That's why you eat a kiddush. Yeah, kiddush is almost a meal.
That's right. Zot Ehel Gemara. Rav Ami Ravasi ki mitlalu rifta deruva. When they made the erev chatzeris, so they always keep the box of matzahs. They kept the suda that was placed on behalf of anybody in the chutzner. They would put it into one household. If it was placed into their household, Shori Aluya, they would always make a brichas hamoitzi on it. Why is that? Because they said, this avid b'chad mitzvah, this avid b'mitzvah. Since a mitzvah was done with it, you should do another mitzvah as well. I'm assuming that's after they didn't need it anymore. Because if you eat up your erev tashilin before,
exactly,
you can't cook anymore afterwards. I don't know how it works with shituf and mavuyas. I assume the matzah has to stay intact throughout the entire period of the shutfas. Like I know the Achronim tell us, the Shavur says that you're supposed to eat your erev tashilin on Shabbos. I think you're supposed to eat the egg by shal shudas and the matzah by the second suda. But I think some service says you're supposed to eat it. He says even which suda you should eat it at. A lot of people leave the erev tashilin outside on the counter. It goes bad and then it goes into the garbage. But we're really supposed to eat it. Zok Gemara Vayter. Kate nothing later. Tanur Kama sudas chayvod b'lechal b'Shabbos. How many sudas are you supposed to eat on Shabbos? Sholish. The answer is 3. Chit Kamar Arbitz 4. They both analyzed the same pasuk and came to a different conclusion. It says in the pasuk by the man. It says Yom once. Ki Shabbos hayoyim Hashem. It says Yom twice. Hayoyim 1, 2. Basada. It says Yom 3 times. Each time it says Yom, it's referring to a suda. And since there's 3 times a yom, there's 3 sudas. The 3 hayoms are referring to the day sudas. But in addition to the 3 day sudas that are alluded to in this pasuk, there's also a suda that you have at night. It brings it to a total of 4. The pasuk that says 3 is including the suda that we have Friday night. I guess we can stop here.
Yosy, look at note 3 on this Amud. It's very, very interesting.